fashion used to not be enough, so that's why often it has been associated with multisensorial marketing, and the most successful one being food. This is not something new. It's almost a century long marketing technique, I would say. But it's not only that, even today, that fashion is such a trending topic. I feel like it's because it's such a trending topic, in order to actually grab the attention of the viewer or potential customer, is still through multisensorial content and fashion. I'm seeing that more and more, from Balenciaga to Loewe to lastly, probably the ad that I've seen the other day, that's like referencing to this show, this cooking show called Is It Cake? And they basically test things, like they try to cut into pieces of, I don't know, like into a book or something, into a shoe, and see if it's like, if the knife goes through, then of course it's cake, and if it doesn't, it's the product. And I've seen this idea used a couple of times from luxury fashion brands, the last one being Lacoste. And because now fashion is such a trending topic, seeing someone wearing a product is not performing anymore in terms of sales. I feel like associating that with food and making it interactive, visually appealing, and kind of playful in that way is really, really performing. Loewe being the pioneer of this, at least in the past years. Food has been an attention grabber not only on the internet but also offline in real life. In fact, a lot of fashion houses have created some like gastronomy experience. The first one that comes to my mind is Gucci Osteria, with a very famous Italian chef. Then you have Bar Luce, which is the bar of Prada designed by Wes Anderson. And I've often been at events and pop ups where food was kind of like the joyful and playful and actually the main character of it all. I remember being at a pop up of Jacquemus in Paris a couple of seasons ago, and the whole topic was popcorns. You could have free popcorns there. There were like popcorn machines. Everything was extremely branded, extremely aesthetic. I mean, Jacquemus really knows how to do this shit. The reason why brands went also in the direction of gastronomy and in the direction of offering and selling food, it's because it's kind of like a low entry level barrier, if that makes sense. If you're not like a customer, if you can't afford, let's say, to buy their products, you could still afford to buy like an overpriced cake, an overpriced coffee, an overpriced, yeah, just like having an overpriced restaurant experience. And you will feel part of something, you will feel part of their group. And this is a way of attracting new clientele, because maybe you're thinking, okay, I've experienced that, and you have kind of like a nice memory of the brand. So next thing you know, and next thing you can actually afford, it's the bag from that brand. So food has been also a strategy to make luxury more affordable and, yeah, more reachable. Food is obviously very important, and it evokes a sense of familiarity, a sense of homey, a sense of comfort that we all know, and then we would by association kind of like think of that when we think of the fashion house or of the product that's being actually sold in the campaign. And I feel like in today's fashion, but also I would say in today's economic climate, it's kind of like becoming a status symbol, like going to buy, I don't know, like groceries, like fresh vegetables in Paris or Berlin is extremely expensive, but also it's kind of like trending, like you're cool, you're like part of the cool kids if you're shopping from a small farmer instead of like shopping from the supermarket, which is something that obviously I think it's great. And because it is and it's getting so expensive, it has become quite kind of like a symbol of um well-being. So the fact that fashion luxury houses have used food as symbolism to kind of like evoke and provoke something in us is something that has been incredibly successful. in terms of sales, really, in terms also of brand image, but it's also something that's quite old. It's somehow always working, but it's quite old. Welcome back to the archives. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm extremely excited to see the insights of the podcast lately, especially on Spotify. The impressions are really, really great. So I'm very happy and thankful for that. Don't forget to grab your drink of choice. I'm having an espresso right here next to me. I'm drinking it from now and then. It's almost cold. Like I'm drinking slowly a shot of espresso. But, anyways, grab yours and let's go back at it. I'm really happy to talk about food, and it's kind of like making me hungry, to be honest. I'm gonna be very hungry when I'm gonna edit this episode, and I'm gonna have to like actually add some food on screen. Let's see. But I was saying that this food marketing strategy is almost a century-year-old marketing strategy. It started with Elsa Schiaparelli, or at least this is the first case study that I could find in my research. Elsa Schiaparelli created the dress in collaboration with Salvador Dali in 1937, the lobster dress, which had like a huge lobster printed on it. If you look at it now, you're like, I don't know. But imagine like seeing this in 1937, like it's quite unique, I would say. And it is like the first case of someone, a fashion house, a luxury fashion house and designer at the time trying to involve in clothes selling, in the process of selling clothes, also food, and attract new clientele through food. And of course, it had to be Schiaparelli, the first case study of food marketing in fashion, right? They're always so surreal and symbolic, I would say. We've seen so many since then, especially in modern and contemporary fashion. We've seen like during the Karl Lagerfeld years at Chanel, fall 2014, the whole supermarket fashion show where the models were actually shopping and playing around, and also then the guests kind of like got involved in that. I found that idea to be quite genius, and it was continued in fall 2015 with the brasserie show, the Brasserie Gabrielle show, where everyone was sitting in a brasserie and the models were walking in, just walking through the tables. And yeah, it's a very nice gastronomic experience mixed with high fashion. I thought this was genius. I mean, Karl Lagerfeld was always genius in the showcase of his collections and shows. I know it's the most basic thing to say, right? But sometimes I like to say it. Moschino is one of these brands that just does a lot of food references in their visuals, in their fashion shows, and in their products. Like, think of the Kate Perry dress, like the cheeseburger hamburger dress, as well as even the last collection where they had these bags that were basically like pasta packages. Then you'd have a lot of campaigns, like I remember the Prada one with the ice cream. I remember also the Chanel one of the hand cream. Do you guys remember the hand cream that was like in the shape of an egg? And there was this like photo on Pinterest of the hand cream in like a whole box of eggs. That was also quite funny. And in general, some like other restaurant content campaigns of fashion brands that I've seen. I'm gonna put them on screen. Very interesting. I found them on Pinterest while I was doing the research for this episode, and I thought these were like so genius, and somehow it's almost like always on point. Like it just, I have the feeling it's not something necessarily trending, but it's more like it's there. It's like a topic. You could do it or you couldn't do it. And if you do it, it's always gonna be something that people will relate to. Although right now we know that there's a huge rise since 2023 in beauty when it comes to food visuals and food marketing and sensory marketing in that sense. It's funny because food and beauty, it's something that maybe you wouldn't necessarily connect. And I do think that beauty as an industry has started to do this not very long ago, definitely not as long as fashion, although we did create a lot of beauty treatments historically, but also like when I was a child, which is not really historically, but you would create from food like beauty treatments, right? I remember my grandma using coffee as body scrub, cucumbers, facial treatments, as well as hair masks that I've done myself at home when I was a preteen with yogurt and honey. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to do these like beauty treatments at home from food. I don't even know if they were like really helping in any way, but it was fun to do something with friends and create something like from your fridge and then actually use it to like, yeah, as a beauty product. Let me know, by the way, if there are any other beauty treatments that you were doing or that you are still doing at home with food products. I would like to go back to that and kind of like try to see if it works or not. And I do think that because we have been using food as beauty, hair care, and skincare for centuries, for such a long time, it has been taking quite some like it had taken quite some time for the beauty industry to kind of like connect the dots and use this as a prop and as a real attention grabber, because it is so hard, you guys, to sell beauty online, in my, or at least it was. Now it's not anymore, because of all of these crazy good visuals and food campaigns that we're getting. But how hard it is to sell a product, a beauty product that a potential customer, has never tried before. Like either someone really close to you that you trust and you look up to and you like their skin, their hair. So you want to kind of like, you think this product is actually, this cream, this face cream is actually, um, it's good because you see the results on your friend or whatever. Besides that, selling something online that's so sterile, and if it's not connected to any multisensorial association, if you cannot associate it to anything else, you won't buy it. So beauty is actually selling everything but beauty. That's like why the beauty industry has been so successful, especially in these like last years, I would say. Specifically since COVID, I feel like since COVID, it's a lot of people obviously shop online way more. A lot of people are shopping beauty more, because there's also this whole cult of skincare, self-care. It's something that it's a trend that we picked up on through TikTok, and it's still quite strong. So I feel like a mix of this and that has been really helping the beauty industry to fucking blow up, really. And this is why so many fashion houses, even smaller fashion houses, have turned from fashion to beauty. Or I will say it better, they didn't turn, they opened also like a beauty department in order to actually be able to sell more. You can't afford Dior, but you can still get a lipstick with the Dior logo on it, and you will feel part of the Dior crew. So, going back to food and beauty, this is something that I remember seeing like in terms of visual campaigns and like actually marketing online campaign for the first time through Gizu, which I don't really remember when they started this brand. I think it was it like 2016, 2017? And it was the first time that like things connected to like food, and it's for them specifically honey. Gizu is an influencer brand, in my opinion, one of the most successful case studies of influencer brands out there, because it's a brand that lives disconnected from the influencer that has actually like started the brand. And I think that's the biggest success that an influencer brand can have. Like if the brand lives on, it doesn't matter what the influencer does, but people will still buy that product. It's because the product is so good. And you do not have so many successful case studies when it comes to that. If you take away people like Kim Kardashian with Skims, like she's a celebrity, she's not an influencer. This girl that started Gizu, she's an Instagram influencer that started her own hairline products, period, you know. Skims and Rhode and like yeah, Fenty Beauty, these are all celebrity brands, and I think they're in a different category and we can talk about it in a different time. But I feel like Gizu is a successful story because of the product, that it was so good, and it obviously went viral because of the visual campaigns and because of her of the influencer's fame. But then it kind of lived on, and now it's also not even only hair products, it's also makeup and more, and skincare. The thing about the food connection for Gizu was that it's made of honey, like the products have a base of honey in them. Honey is something that we eat, so in the campaigns that the brand was shooting, they were like often having people eating, or like they were having these like honey things that like they would bite in and stuff like that. I would put some photos on the screen so you guys know exactly what I talk about. Like I don't even know how to describe it specifically, but you see what I mean. Looking at these photos, I feel like I can really feel through my fingers the consistency of the products. And that's how important, you know, multisensorial marketing is, because I almost feel like this liquid through my fingers, and now I want to go to the store and actually touch it. And it's incredible. Like it's so simple yet so efficient. It's crazy. Many other beauty brands from there have included and incorporated food in their campaigns. Rhode being one of the most famous ones because it's Bieber's and Hailey Bieber's brand, but also other smaller brands. Typology, it's one that comes to my mind right now, and others that have been doing like crazy visuals, and it has been incredibly successful because it really taps into that sense. Like we now have an association, we now know how to feel about a specific product. Like how do you feel about a piece of clothing? You can visually feel that because you can see maybe a model wearing it, you can see someone running in it, you can see someone standing in it, someone sitting in it, and you're thinking, okay, so if I have the reference of the model, if the model is this tall, that I know I'm shorter and the pants will fit in a different way, or I know I'm taller, or you know, like it's the perception, the first connection that we have is to associate us to the model, and we see through the model's fit, we can imagine how the piece of clothing will fit on us. With beauty we have nothing like this. We have nothing. You have just a little package, fancy, simple, whatever it is, but you don't really know much about it. You don't really connect to anything of it. So associating liquids, or like, you know, sometimes you would have like ice as well, or water. I remember like before the food marketing trend in beauty, there was a lot like, there was all of this trend of like natural elements involved, like water, fire, you know, like earth. So this was kind of like the trend, I feel like, before food in beauty. And that's like one feeling, and now with food we have another feeling, another connection, because through those like natural elements we were associating the product, how these natural elements make us feel. You know, water, you feel like refreshed. Earth, you feel like, you know, like one with the world, whatever, like you guys know what I mean. And then with food we have a whole new level of association, and it's even deeper, it's even more personal. And that's why it's working so much, because if I see a donut I feel one way, if you see a donut you might feel a complete different way, but we both feel something. So that one product has evoked a very personal feeling, so you will connect to the product. One of the pioneers in content creation with food is Loewe. Loewe, by the way, they have the best Instagram account in my opinion. They're so smart with kind of like doing UGC content as well as in-house content. Everything is kind of funny and it's not always about the brand itself. And I think this is what makes it work even more. I feel like 80%, no, 70% is brand related and 30% is just random, but still very much on brand, which is genius. I really love what they're doing. But yeah, I think like in general, they are the ones that were like most successful with that. You guys remember this one meme of the tomato? Someone was saying somehow this tomato is very loewe. And Jonathan Anderson, by the way, also replied to that. 5 days later, Loewe comes out with this tomato bag, and the internet went completely nuts. And in general, it's not only about the tomato, but also about so many different, um, yeah, like food props. A lot of vegetables, I will put some things on screen. You guys will see. I think it's also fun to watch. And just like, yeah, just thinking of how they're doing this must be really fun to create. Like as a content creator, I'm always thinking like how are they doing it? And I think it's the whole process is quite fun. Also, my friend, by the way, she did a whole shoot for a jewelry brand where she used food. Her name is Sophie, and I'm gonna put her on screen as well because I really, really like the result of that one shoot that she did. But going back to Loewe and their whole like food story and their whole like tomato story, basically the whole thing that inspired this episode is me going to the Loewe store, and they had this one cream, like this body lotion in the store. And it's funny because you always think of like, to be honest, I never want to try like body products in like a store where you can also buy clothes, but like it was there on the counter. I was like, okay. So I read the description and it's like tomato leaves body lotion. And that really caught my attention because of the whole history of the tomato at Loewe. I really wanted to try it on. And I tried that body lotion. I never bought anything faster. By the way, I'm not like someone who walks in a store and buys whatever she wants. Like the decision process to buy something new, doesn't matter what it is, it takes me, I don't want to say months, but definitely weeks. So I'm not like a crazy impulsive shopper. I am the opposite. Most of the times I don't buy anything because I just overthink so much, and then I just get so much stress with the overthinking about that one thing that I don't really want to get it anymore. So anyways, because I tried on this cream and it immediately evoked in my mind the image of me in southern Italy in a garden, or even me in Italy when I was a teenager in the garden of my parents. They used to grow so many tomatoes, which, by the way, I love tomato. I eat tomatoes like crazy at every meal, like breakfast, lunch, dinner. If there's no tomato in my one dish that I'm eating, I'm just gonna put it in because I feel like it's flavorless. I have this thing with tomato and with lemon. I'm just obsessed with anything that also evokes that. So I got, for the same reason, I got Under the Lemon Tree by Margiela, the perfume, because it really reminded me of lemons. And for the same reason, I got the body lotion from Loewe. And I think this is like a 2.0 trend of food marketing. The fact that it's not only in visuals and it's not only something that you see, you know, in a photo on Instagram, is not only in the title of a perfume, you know, in the description of the perfume or the cream, but it's actually the smell of it. And I'm not talking about, think of Gizu. Of course, it smells like honey. The products are made of honey, so it smells like honey. But you would expect something to smell like honey, right? It's just you would not expect to put on your body something that smells so much as a very specific food, which is not even tomato, it's tomato leaves. Crazy. Sensory marketing 2.0, we will have also the smell involved, besides being like attracted by these crazy yummy visuals, but now also the smell will be extremely important, and it has to be very specific. Like, of course, it has always been like that in beauty, but when it's something this specific, it really makes such a difference. How hard it is to sell a body lotion that smells like tomato. Like, I would have never thought I would want to wear something that smells like a tomato, to be honest. You guys have to try it and let me know what you think, because I'm curious if it's just me. Maybe it's because I'm nostalgic and I want to go back to Italy. Maybe because I want summer. Maybe because it's, yeah, maybe it's just me. Let me know if you get to try. Let me know what you think. I'm very curious to hear your feedback. This has been a trending topic for so long on TikTok, on magazines, and everywhere else. I just felt like it was kind of obvious until I was really, really touched by it with this 2.0 sensorial marketing strategy with Loewe. And then I thought I could chip in with my personal experience. You guys, don't forget to rate this podcast. Rating is so important on Spotify because it will help with the ranking. What this means is that if you rate it like you would rate a restaurant on Google, right? Like you give like 1 to 5 stars according to like your experience, then the more people are rating it, the more the podcast will be shown. So go wild.